Canada.
Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of We Got Next. I'm Ricky Hampton with my great friend, the big fella, former Buck Center, Paul Mokeski, coming to you on a Monday evening. Hope everybody had a great weekend. You can tell by the caps that Mo and I have on. We had a great weekend with 5 teams, although it was a little more exciting than what we wanted it to be.
Let's find a way to win.
Hopefully we'll get to talk a little football, man, as the NFL reached the halfway point before the show is out tonight. But Mo, man, it is so much going on in the National Basketball Association. The league is off to a terrific start. Look at what's happening in Cleveland. They have been red hot. A bunch of stuff to get to. But I want to start in the city of brotherly love, where tomorrow Joel Embiid will be making his debut for the Philadelphia 76ers after being injured and after being suspended for pushing a lowly, harmless reporter.
The pen is mightier than the sword.
He'll be back in the lineup tomorrow. The Sixers could surely use him because right now they're 2-7, sitting 13th in the conference. Only your beloved Milwaukee Bucks and Toronto Raptors are in worse shape. First of all, Mo, the thoughts on Embiid and the reporter. There is I think there is a somewhat, I don't want to say confrontational relationship between media and the guys they cover. But as a former beat writer, I mean, we want to know everything you guys are doing. But I know there's always a line that we can't go over. But there's also a line for the player to not be able to go over. Who went over what line in that situation?
I think both went over the line. I think, you say adversarial. I mean,
That's the word, adversarial. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, reporters can be too, because guess what? When you have a negative story versus a positive story, the negative story makes the headlines, not the positive one. And it's always been that way, and it's always going to be that way. And as players, you need to realize that. But some reporters try to dig deep and find some kind of negative or some kind of, to get their story published and now get likes and hits and whatever. But also, I think the players today are more sensitive. They look at Instagram and they look at all this stuff, and they get all sensitive because someone says something. Listen, if you don't respect anybody that's saying stuff, then don't listen to them and don't let it affect you. So I think both went over the line. Here's the reporter went over the line because he started bringing Joel's family into this thing. He started to bring his brother into this and some other things. That's uncalled for. You don't do that. As a reporter, you don't do that. And as a player, though, that whatever they say, just when you go on the road, just like when you go on the road to Boston or whatever, and they yell all kinds of stuff at you, you can't react. And of course, you can never react physically and go at a fan or a reporter in the locker room. You can't touch people. That's the line. So they both went over the line. I think the reporter was digging in the wrong situation and talking about family. That's not right. And I think Joel reacted and let his emotions get away from him. And, it was originally reported as a punch, but it was a push, I guess. But either way, Joel's a big man. And if he pushes someone, they're going to feel it. So I think they're both went over the line. 5-game suspension. It cost Joel Embiid $1.1 million for one little show.
Yeah, yeah. And Mo, as competitive as the East is going to be and the hole that they are in, not saying he'd be able to play because he says he's been hurt. This 2-7 star from Philly, they are already starting in a hole. And not having them makes them obviously a completely different team. Paul George has missed time for the Sixers. When both of those guys on the floor, along with Maxey, they're one of the best teams in the East.
Maxey's out now. Maxey got hurt.
Right.
He hurt his hamstring. So they were hanging out without Joel Embiid, and George has he has time restraints on him. He couldn't play in the overtime the other night. But even with that going on, they were holding on. They were like 500, and then Maxey got hurt. And it's early, but they're along with the Bucks are in trouble. And sometimes it's hard to recuperate. But it's early. We got 82 games. That's all well and good, but making up 2-8, 2-7, that's tough to do. That means you gotta get healthy first. You gotta kind of get healthy and play. You're gonna play 500 for a while, and then at some time you're gonna have to make a 10 game winning streak or an 8 game winning streak to make up one. So they're in a hole early.
And the games you lose in November are just as important as the games you lose in March, headed towards the playoffs.
Yeah, if you're vying for playoff position, ranking, home court, and play-in, you want to stay out of the play-in situation. All these games add up, and I'm telling you, as a coach, I've been there before. And you know what coaches do? We're like, I don't know, we torture ourselves. So here's what we do. You can ask your son if he does this, Ricky. So we go before the season, and we look at our schedule, and we kind of pencil in. Okay, we're going to win this one, lose this one, win this one, then we're going to be 8-2, then we're going to be this, and we're going to go on a road. And we come up with like 58 wins. That's what we do. Yeah. And you hope that works out. And then at the end of the season, here's what we do. We torture ourselves, and we go back over the schedule. And, we shouldn't have lost this one. We shouldn't have lost that one. We shouldn't have lost this one. How did we lose that one? And after about 10 of those, you're like, that's why we're in the 7th position instead of the 3rd position. I'm telling you, it adds up.
Yeah, absolutely. And back to the reporter, that there's no reason in the world for him to mention Joel Embiid's family. What?
No. I mean, unless it's, someone's sick and you're wishing them well and you're hoping they're doing okay. And, but not. I think it was his brother that was in a car accident or something. And
his brother Arthur, and he has a son who's named after his brother.
And he said that he'd be ashamed of you.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't do that.
Right.
Why? Yeah. That's. But and that's across the line. We all know that. But also, you can't put your hands on a reporter or anybody else.
No doubt.
And guess what? There's probably 30 cameras, 50 cameras in that locker room or wherever it was, because every phone has a camera. So you're going to get caught. And if you're in an arena, there's cameras all over the arena too. So
that's right.
Sure, what happened was the league took all the video, looked at it, talked to the people. That's what they do. They call the people involved, the 2 people involved, people around there, people that was in the room. Then they look at the footage, and that's how they came up with a 5-game suspension or $1.1 million. Million.
Hey, welcome to all our friends out there from Sports Fluent, and
we're in our studio. We're in our studio tonight, Ricky. We're together.
It is too sharp.
We're in the Bahamas. We're in our studio.
Please send us your questions and comments. Steve got a couple of good ones. I'm going to hold on, Steve. He's got a great one about Giannis, because we definitely.
Yeah, we're going into that. Don't worry, Steve.
We're going to definitely get to the Bucks.
Yeah. I'll give you a hint, right? I was his biggest fan a couple of years ago. Not so much anymore. But we'll talk later on that.
Hey, Mo, do you see when you were in the league, when guys got the big money, what changes a player you see a player come in the league and all of a sudden he was hungry, he gets that check. Does it change guys? It doesn't change everybody, I know, but you've seen it.
Sure, it changes some. It doesn't change others. Depends on what your personality is and what your character is. So, I've seen, guys like Sidney Moncrief or whatever get a nice contract. They're going to play the exact same way, just as hard, just try to do whatever it takes for the team to win. And I've seen many, many, many players that get that big bag and then they're going to rest or not play as hard or take more time off injured or have some load management maybe. And guess what, Ricky? I've also seen that in the coaching profession. I've seen coaches that, have worked hard to get where they get, and they get a nice contract, get a great opportunity, and they become different people. I've seen it on both sides.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of coaching, let's go to Milwaukee and talk about before we get to the floor, let's talk a little bit about the situation Doc Rivers is in with their terrible start. If there's one team worse than the Sixers, it's been the Bucks. We're off to a 2-8 start. People are already rumbling and making noise about Doc Rivers. Darvin Ham, the former Lakers coach, is on the is on the bench as an assistant. And I'm reading all these stories about people saying maybe Darvin should take the team over.
Or get rid of them, one or the other, right? I mean, let's rewind a little bit. They fired him in L.A., right? Because the players weren't listening to him. LeBron wasn't listening to him. They lost the locker room. Why would you let him take over a team that's in a mess right now? That makes no sense to me. I would question, if you never know what the truth is, but if he's going behind Doc's back, talking to players, saying this or that, then Doc has to get rid of him. He has to confront that and get rid of him because they're having a tough enough time. It's hard enough to win in the NBA if your players aren't on the team on the same pulling out the same way on the rope. Also with your coaching staff, you can't have video people, assistant coaches. Talk. These guys are all they're in the locker room, they're in the weight room, they're in the video room, they're on the practice floor, they're on the airplane, they're in the hotels on the road. Guys talk. Players talk to coaches, talk to video guys all the time. And when it starts having a rumbling like that, in my opinion, you got to cut it out right away. You got to get rid of whoever's doing it, whether it's a player or a coach or both, and then start over and make a statement. Because, hearing Giannis say that, we need an identity, that's ridiculous to me. I mean, and plus you're the captain of the team. You're making $8 zillion. You should have a say, and you should start standing up for that. And then, saying we need to play hard or stuff like that. That's really tough. You know what? When you're winning, everybody's happy. Players aren't playing, but we're winning, and we're getting we're all happy. And then when you lose and you struggle, that's when, like in life, when you struggle in life, you find out who your real friends are because all the other people jump out of your life, and your real friends stay with you no matter what the situation. It's the same for a sports franchise. And we used to say it all the time. I mean, I've been on teams that had a bad start. No reporters are around, and nobody cares really. And then you go on a roll, and you're making a run into playoffs, and everybody's around. And we're like, hey, you weren't on this boat before. Don't jump on it now. You weren't on this train before. Don't jump on the train now. Right. But my Bucks are in a tough situation. Middleton's injured, but that's like 10% of the problem. The problem is Lillard playing with Giannis. Giannis, has been known. He really doesn't help other players win, right? He's averaging like 30 points, and he has like 12 rebounds a game and 10 assists, or 7 assists, whatever, and he's having a great season. But he's not really helping anybody, kicking it to anybody, making anybody better. And I'm kind of thinking the same with Lillard now. And so, it's just at some point, You're either going to pull the plug on the coach, that's Doc Rivers, and you're going to pay him $35 million for the rest of his contract, and you're probably still paying Budenholzer. So you're going to do that, or you're going to make a trade, and it's got to be somebody big. It's got to be a Lillard. It's got to be a Giannis. At my point, because everybody says, well, get rid of Lopez. He's not playing good. Get Portis. No one wants those. Someone would want Portis, I think, but you wouldn't get equal back. Everybody will want Giannis. So get a couple good players and a couple first-round picks and see where you're at if you're going to make that move around Christmas time. But
you said it to me. We were talking off the air the other day when he was talking about, well, we don't have identity. You had an identity when you won the championship.
You know what your identity needs to be? We play together. We play smart. We play defense. We play tough, and we help each other. That's your identity. How hard is that? I mean, come on, man. What identity do you want? Tell me an identity. Ricky, give me an identity of a team. I mean, they're Cowboys. They're high fly. What? This makes no sense to me. We don't have an identity of our team. That's like when teams struggle. I've told you this before, and I've talked to players, and always well, coach, a lot of these guys don't know their roles, man. They just don't know their roles. And, and I have a whole thing I could go into, but in the very end, the bottom line is, yes, they do. They know their roles. They don't accept them. They don't accept them. You need to accept your role and play it to the top of your ability, and then that's when you have an actual team that can win. And
who did something the other day that I thought was pretty cool that you don't see a lot of in the league now. JJ Redick, the coach of the Lakers, brand new coach, he benched D'Angelo Russell for not playing hard, for not guarding.
Yeah.
I mean, Russell's a 10-year veteran. It's like
that's been on the trading blocks forever, and they sign him to a big contract they shouldn't have because he's like this. His whole career is like this. And, and I applaud him because, well, first of all, I think he's got a 5-year contract, so he's okay for now. So he can do that. Second of all, it wasn't AD or LeBron, right? So you're okay. And, everybody could see D'Angelo Russell wasn't even trying. Go sit on the bench. Find me somebody that's going to try.
Right. Hey, I want to put this up for Steve. I just cracked up when he wrote this about Giannis. He says Giannis holds the ball 22 seconds in the shot clock. but it really kind of looks like that, Mo.
Well, here's what drove me crazy, and it still does, and it did even when they won the championship because they'd fall back in this habit, but they had Holiday to stop them. But what Giannis does is he can. I'm telling you, I guess he could score 80 points maybe if he wanted to because no one can stop him. He's 7 foot, good jumper, long arm span. He's good at getting to the basket. He dunks it from all different angles, and they always call fouls. So every time if he wanted to, every time he can go to the basket, either make a basket and get fouled or get fouled every time, 100 times a game. But are you going to win that way? What are the other players going to do? You can't win that way. And it drives me crazy when he grabs a rebound, dribbles all the way down the floor, and then drives to the basket, trying to overpower 2 or 3 guys that are sitting with him in the lane and dunks it and gets fouled maybe. And everybody else is just like standing around. I'm like, okay, great. That's great. Now you could do that. Like Charles Barkley used to do that, but he would pick his times to do that. You know what? Why can't you just get the rebound, outlet it to Lillard or whoever, go down, run a cross pick, do something, catch it in the post, score, do other stuff. But he is ball dominant, and he's probably the most ball dominant 7-footer I've seen in a long time. I mean, he's like a train going to the basket. And his mid range hasn't got any better. He's shooting 50% from the free throw line. He's shooting 16% from the 3-point line. I could shoot 16% left-handed from the 3-point line with 2 bad knees. I mean, so they got some problems. And you know how you find your identity, Milwaukee Bucks? trade some people and bring some other people in. That's what you do when you want to change what's going on.
Hey Mo, the coach-player relationship, the locker room, the temperament and status of a locker room is very important, regardless of the sport. I know that, but for example, and this is the NFL, but it's still a team sport. The other day, Michael Parsons, after the Cowboys got lit up by the Eagles the other day, he said he doesn't care about whether, let me read his quote. He says, Mike McCarthy can leave and go wherever he wants. I feel bad for the veterans here like Zach Martin, who might be on their last way, on their way out. They put more time in than Mike McCarthy ever did. And he's telling this to the media.
Not too smart, and he's not too smart because he has no idea how many hours and how much work a coach puts in. He's clueless. He's a really good football player, but he's clueless. And, I've been on both sides. I was an NBA player for 12 years, and I coached for 20. And coaches put in way, way, way more time than players.
Yeah.
I mean, before practice, making a practice plan, watching video, scouting the other team, running practice, after practice, get ready for the next game, have a meeting, seeing if we're going to trade anybody, bring somebody in, who we playing, who we starting, what rotations work. Okay, we leave the office at 11 p.m. at night when the players left at 2 o'clock in the afternoon after practice. Come on, man. That's just that statement is so stupid in so many ways. Number one, it's not right. Number two, you don't say it in your locker room with the media there. And number three, now what do you do now? What do you do? What does Mike McCarthy do tomorrow in practice? What does he do?
Well, you said they talked it out today. I mean,
Yeah, that's what they always say.
Yeah.
That's what they always say.
Right.
We talked about that's bull crap. That's like, hey, we had a team meeting and everything's great now. That's BS. That's not right. You can't tell me that some players in that locker room going, damn right, Parsons, you're right about that. And other players are going, you're stupid, man. Our coach works his butt off. So now guess what? Your locker room is divided. You just divided your locker room right there. And now, I mean, what is a head coach when he goes into that team meeting with all 80 or 90 or whatever guys in that room? You see it on TV, right? That big video room. And he's in front of all these guys and they're all up there. What does he say? What are his first words out of his mouth?
Is that the difference in pro sports and college sports, Mo?
A little bit. No, I mean, pro and college is the difference between controlling a team and not. But the team makeup and the team attitude is the same. If a Kansas player, after they beat North Carolina the other night, was being interviewed and said, you know what, our coaches don't work very hard. We work harder than them. I feel good that we won. And by the way, I should play more and get more shots. What do you think happens? I mean, the coach has to address that in the room the next day. Now, college, you can address it a little harder. But in the pros, McCarthy had to come into that meeting room with 100 people and their coaches and players. And I mean, I guess, hey, listen, guys, things were said yesterday after the game. It was heated. It was emotional. We talked it out and everything's okay. Let's go win next week. Yeah, that's all great to say, but that's not really what's going to happen.
Yeah. And the Cowboys are going nowhere. And Michael Parsons knows there's a very good chance McCarthy won't be there next year.
Yep. So and he knows he has to play him. So he's not going to lose any sleep there. He knows he has to play him. He knows he's not coming back. I heard they're going after Deion Sanders. I think that would be interesting.
Wow, really?
And Tank to get his son as quarterback.
The Sixers drafted great players who can't stay healthy. the process was doomed to fail because of that. But more, I see more guys injured in today's game than ever during your era. And they have all the technology in the world, the advancement of all the medicines and sports technology. Chet Holmgren's out for 8 to 10 weeks now. And I want to get your what do you think that impact's going to be on the team? But to Wood Age's point, any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, you do your best in the draft room. In the draft room, when you're getting ready to draft someone, especially in the first round, you've talked to their high school coaches, their AAU coaches, their friends, their family, their agent, their college coach, their roommates. You have every doctor's report. You literally have X-rays up on the wall of every player. You have medical reports. You have all this information, and sometimes you can't predict who's going to get hurt. In Embiid's situation, you could, though, because he was hurt every time. He was at Kansas. He hardly played because he was hurt all the time. He was drafted when he hadn't played for months because of a bad back. So, my opinion is he's going to be hurt. But then you got to weigh it. Is it worth it? I mean, he's MVP. Does he give it the best chance to win? But, predicting who's going to get hurt and not, especially in today's game, I mean, Holmgren, he's got to eat a damn cheeseburger, man. He fell on his hip. There's no muscle or fat there. He just fell on his bone. He fell literally on his hip bone. And he fractured it, unfortunately, but he also hurt his foot a couple of years ago. So, he's frail. But you know what? When they drafted him, they looked at his skill level. He hadn't been hurt in college, really, and he could play and he could do all this. And they did all the doctor's report, all the X-rays. They had all their doctors look at him. He's passed all those, but look at him. He's frail. Just look at him. So 82 games, playing a physical game. These things are going to probably happen, but we're going to hedge our bet and hope he can stay healthy enough to help us win. And it's unfortunate because they also signed Hartenstein, the 7-footer that the Knicks had last year, who's a really strong physical big at 7 foot. And they would have made a great matchup, but he hasn't even played yet because he's hurt. He hasn't played a game yet. So now both their bigs are out. Right.
And the same boat they were last year. And, Homer missed his entire rookie year. The entire year. I think it was an ACL. And, think about this, Lo. The season just started. Zion Williamson is out indefinitely.
Yep. Maybe forever. I mean, it's crazy, right? Anthony Davis got poked in the eye last night. Just go through the list of everybody's hurt. Middleton in Milwaukee, he had double ankle surgery this summer. Embiid is messed. So many of these guys, it's the biggest ability in the NBA is availability. You can have the best roster in the world, but if they don't play, you got nothing. So, and someone brought this up the other day or a couple of days ago. Maybe it's because of the shortened training camp they have. They don't do 2 days anymore, really. They only have training camp for like 10 days. We used to have it for 3 weeks. Get your body ready, get accustomed, and they're out playing games after 4 days. They're playing exhibition games. So that might have to do something with it, but I don't know if I'm
these guys are superb athletes. And
yeah, if I'm an owner or I'm a fan or I'm a gambling man, I am afraid these guys are hurt all the time. I don't know who's going to play tonight. Who knows?
And Wood State Zion just wants to be out of New Orleans. Oh, he's asking, is he out? Is he pretending to be injured, I guess?
Well, guess what? No one's going to take you if you're injured. So if you want to be out, you're doing the wrong thing. You're doing the wrong thing. If you want to be out, you could deal with that in the offseason. You could be Ben Simmons, who hasn't played in 20 years either, and demand a trade. You could be Harden and demand a trade. Do that. But if you want to be out, you're an idiot to act like your hamstring's injured or play bad, because then guess what? Nobody wants you anymore. So, you know, you can't really do it that way. And if he wants out or not, you know, who knows? But who the hell wants him? Who wants him? I mean, he's an enigma anyway. He's a 6'5" center that you know, that's hurt all the time. Good luck with that. That makes what, $30 million a year? Ooh.
And Mo, and the way he plays just seems to be very taxing on him physically, because, like you said, he's undersized, so he has to bang and work for everything he gets.
Because he can't shoot.
Yeah.
Here's an idea. In the summertime, work on your jump shot. Maybe you can get some easy shots.
No, that's
Yeah, I don't think he wants to work. I don't think he. I think he's in the NBA because he's a physical specimen. He's very good when he's on the floor. He can do phenomenal stuff. But does he really want this? Which is the case of a lot of the players today, I think.
Hey, let's talk about what's actually happening. We're talking about all the stuff that's happening off the court. Let's talk about what's happening on the floor. And Mo, tell me if what I'm seeing from the Cavaliers is the real deal. They are 11-0. They are sizzling. Mo, their point differential is 12.5 points, almost 13 points a game better than opposition.
So we've talked about them for the last 2 years,
Yep.
and I've told you every year that if they're healthy, they have one of the best starting fives in the league, right? I've told you that over and over. And guess what? They're healthy, and the players, like, let's say Evan Mobley, who, you know, was just kind of a big guy that could finish around the basket or whatever, a good player, but he was asked to do a lot more, and he's gotten better. So if you look at their roster, I mean, I told you this before. Donovan Mitchell and Garland are maybe, besides Kyrie and Luka, maybe the best backcourt in the league. I guess Holiday and Brown, yeah. But they're right there with those guys, right? With their backcourt was one of the best in the league, top 5, right? Then you have Mobley, who's a 6'11" long 4, and you have Jared Allen, who's back now. He was hurt last year, remember? He's back now, and he's blocking shots. You know, he's rebounding. He's filling that spot. Then they have LeVert, who was hot on the free agent market a couple summers ago. He was like the hot commodity when he was in Toronto, I think, and he's playing great. He's averaging 12. And then they have Okora, Merrill, and some other guys that are filling in, and they're all playing, and they're all accepting their roles.
Yeah,
There you go.
and Max
They're the
Strus,
real deal.
and Max Strus, they'll get him. He's been banged up.
And that's going to add shooting, big time 3-point shooting when he comes back. So, I mean, they're 11-0, and they don't. And when Strus comes back, they're going to be even better. So, guess what they're thinking? Like, we got this thing, because in the East now, remember we talked about a month ago. The East, you have Boston, Philly, Milwaukee, and who else? One more.
Boston, Philly,
And the Knicks. And the Knicks.
Yeah, the Knicks.
But now you don't have that anymore. You have Boston and Cavs. That's what you have. They're 11-0 and 9-2. The third place team, Indiana, is 5-5. Orlando 5-6. New York 4-5. Miami 4-5. Nets 4-6. Hornets 4-6. Chicago 4-6. That's to the 9th spot. So you have a separation between the Cavs now and Boston. And Boston, guess what? They'll get Porzingis back after Christmas, I think. So they're in the same boat as the Cavs are, except maybe even more so. And then all these other teams are game amongst each other from being 3rd spot to 9th.
Right.
So, but here's the good news for Philly and Milwaukee, right? You guys suck. You're terrible. You're at the bottom of the barrel. You're only 4 games out of the 3rd spot.
Right.
Think about that. You're only 4 games. You win 6 in a row, you're in the 3rd spot. That's crazy.
That is nuts. Now, Mo, are you buying what Golden State is doing? They're 8-2, currently tied with Phoenix and Milwaukee for the best record in the West.
I'm really impressed with what they're doing, but I'm going to tell you, they've done this before, and they play small ball, right? They don't really have a center, and they do well during the season. And then when you run up against the Joker or AD and LeBron, or it would have been Holmgren and Hartenstein. When you run up to those teams in a 7-game series, you can run and gun and fast pace and shooting and play solid defense. That's all great till you hit a 7-game series that the teams are stronger, bigger, and more physical, and you got some problems. So my answer to are you buying it? I'm buying it for the regular season, but not in the playoffs for a deep playoff run. I still think, if they would make a move and bring in not a superstar, just a big body, even a Plumlee type, even someone like that. Or, how about this? How about you get my Milwaukee ball and see if Lopez is actually on the trading?
Hey, Paul, check this out. In the West, 6-4 record in the West is all the way down at the 11th spot. If that team was in the East, they would be in the 3rd spot.
Yeah, and it happens a lot, but really, the Houston Rockets are 6-4, and they're in the 6th spot or 5th spot. So because in the West, you have Suns at 8-2, OKC at 8-2, but now Holmgren's hurt; they're going to go down. Warriors are 8-2, who are playing great. They're playing like an 8-man rotation, 9-man rotation that Steve Kerr was chastised for not playing enough players, Tatum in the Olympics, and now he's known for it, right? But then like Denver's 7-3, Memphis is 7-4, Lakers, Houston, Minnesota, Clippers are all 6-4, Sacramento 6-4, and Dallas, who's better than they're playing right now, is only 5-5. So that whole group is they're only 3 games out of 2nd spot, 3rd spot. So it's still early, but you know what you do as a coach in the NBA? Like I told you, how you predict wins and then go back and feel like, why do we do that? You also play, because you have 82 games, you play in like 10 game segments. Okay, if we could be 7-3 now, and then 7-3 now, next, that's 14-6. We're in the top. And you kind of break it down. So now all these teams have reached their first 10 game segment, and they're seeing exactly where they are. And it's not time to panic yet, unless you're maybe Milwaukee and you're getting close to it. But after the next 2 10-game segments, and you're at 30 games now, and you're still sitting in the bottom, like some of these teams, then now you're going to see some movement. So it's interesting because both divisions have, 2 or 4 teams up the top, and then they got a bunch of people bunched up in the middle right now. It's going to be interesting.
Hey, and Mo, and not only does Joel make his debut tomorrow, the second year of the NBA Cup tournament stars play tomorrow. And it seems like this year they're not building up the start of it as much as they did last year. But it turned out to be a fun little deal.
Yeah, I mean, last year it was brand new. Europeans do this all the time. In the European high-level leagues, they have like 2 or 3 cups during the season before they have the championship cup. So it was a new thing. Adam Silver brought it in. So they really, really pushed it hard. The different floors and, all this and playing on Tuesday night. And I like that. And you know who's more interested in it now that wasn't before? The players. The players want to come to Vegas, because the Final Four is here in Vegas. Not only do the teams, I think each player gets $500,000 if they win it. And that's big money for, the 10th, 11th, and 12th guys for sure. And the other guys want to win for them. But everybody wants to kind of come to Vegas for a weekend, And
Yeah.
it's they're pushing it right here in Vegas because they're ticket sales. But I like it. I think it worked well last year. I think it's going to pick up momentum with the players and the coaches. I heard I can't remember who it was, but after an interview of a game the other night, they said, "Yeah, we had a good win, and we're looking forward to Tuesday night when we start the tournament play."
Yeah.
So that means something too.
And Steve just mentioned, we talking about injured guys. Kevin Durant is down. It's just the craziest thing, man.
Yeah, it's really sad because I think Phoenix is they're 8-2. They're at the top. But guess what? They had Booker, KD, and Beal playing at the same time. They did. I think they've played more games now. They played 8 games together than they did all last year together, all 3. And now KD goes down. Or I'm not sure. They're really cautious with it, which I don't blame them. So they'll bring them along slowly. But it's unfortunate that who it hurts is the fans that pay money to go see these games, and 2 or 3 stars aren't playing. Pay a lot of money to see these games, man. Hey, you go out there and LeBron ain't playing, or Kawhi, is he ever going to play again? And now KD's not, Zion's not playing.
Hey, but Mo, you know who was playing, and doggone it, every NBA front office should have been listening to you and all some of these so-called experts. When people were talking about Zach Edey, he's player of the year, but he probably won't even get drafted. We don't know if he's going to get drafted.
And he did.
No, he's averaging 11 points, shooting 65%, and almost 7 rebounds a game in 20 minutes of play.
And 75 or 80% from the free throw line. He's doing what?
And he's a rookie, Mo.
He's what?
And he's just a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, but he's like 24 years old, though. He's been in college a long time.
Right.
But you know what he did, and he's done it. You could see, look at his body now and what it was a year ago. And I could see it in the Chicago pre-draft that he's dropped about 20 pounds. And he's picked up some foot speed because he knew he had to do it. He's stretched out. I think he's shooting like over 40% from the 3-point line too, because he stretched his. Not shooting a lot of them, but he's making them. But he's 7'4", long, great hands, finish around the basket. He's dunking on people. He can block shots, sets great picks, rolls to the basket, great passer. Hello, how can you not want him on your team? And he was not drafted 2 years ago. They didn't draft him. He was in the draft and no one drafted him. So we went back to school. I think he's a 2nd-round pick this year?
He was, I think Memphis took him in the first, late in the first. I'll look that up.
Yeah. So, finally, I've been telling people that for 2 years. I mean.
He really did, Bo.
Yeah, and he knows how to play. You know what else he is? He's got a little mean streak in him, too. He's got a little mean streak in him,
Yeah.
And other than Holmgren has a mean streak in him, but he weighs $180. He weighs like one of my legs. Edey's weighing about 280. He can back that mean streak up.
And I'm reading here, some people are calling him an early favorite to win the Rookie of the Year award.
I believe that because the French kids that were drafted 1-2, they're struggling a little bit. And a quote from one of them last week was, "Wow, when I played in France, I was the most athletic guy. Now everybody's as athletic as I am." So they're getting a rude awakening. Edey doesn't care. Edey's going to play his game, and he's going to be solid. He's not going to be up and down with his numbers, and he might even score more and might rebound. He might end up 14, 15 points a game and 8 boards,
The Grizzlies took him at number 9.
Oh, did they really? Good for them. Good.
Yeah. I'm checking to make sure that's right. Yep.
That's good.
Yeah, I am so happy for that dude, man. Because like you said, he plays hard too. I got a chance to see him play against Michigan last year. I'm like, this dude. You know what it is, Mo? Sometimes you get a chip on your shoulder. I'm gonna show these guys I can do this. That's
when you're 7 foot or 7'4", you've had a chip on your shoulder for a long time. When they made fun of you in grade school, when they laughed at you in high school, absolutely. I know what he's feeling. Shoot.
We gotta see him. I'll be interested to see when they match up with Denver, and he gets an introduction to the Joker. Because Mo, the Joker is playing lights out basketball.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he does everything, and they've been banged up too. I think Murray's out. I think one of their other players is out. So, you know, he's been carrying that team. But, you know, I mean, he's averaging. He's averaging 29, almost 30 points a game, almost 14 rebounds a game, and almost 12 assists a game. I mean, that's crazy. That is almost the GOAT type numbers. And you know who the GOAT is? It's Wilt Chamberlain. It's not Michael Jordan. It's not Kobe Bryant. It's the Wilt Chamberlain who averaged those kind of numbers 2 seasons in a row. So come on, man. But the Joker, I mean, slow, can't jump. He just knows how to play the game. And Zach Edey is going to be able to bang with him a little bit, but Joker can take him to the bank because he's got so many fakes and all kinds of stuff. So, but it'll be a fun matchup to watch.
Hey Paul, when the Joker came into the league, it took him a minute to figure out how he needed to play.
Yeah, and he
didn't tear the league up when he came into the league.
Most people don't, right? Most people don't. I mean, Dirk Nowitzki didn't. You know, most people don't. You know, and you have to learn, and you got to feel, especially European players, right? Yao Ming struggled his first couple seasons. So first of all, you got to figure out the travel, living in a new country. Then you got to figure out the speed of the game, the strength of the game, 82-game season. You're flying everywhere. It's a different animal. And, you know, he wasn't in shape either. He thought he was in shape. A lot of players, when you go from high school to college, high school players think they're in shape till they get to college and they go, wow, I'm not in shape. Same thing happens when you go from college to the pros. You think you're in shape. You're not in shape. And then you finally learn how to get in shape, what in shape really means. And that's what he's learned over the years. That's what Luka's learning. You know, and sometimes it takes big guys longer too. So, you know, Dirk Nowitzki, they laughed at him. Ricky, they laughed at him. His rookie and second year, they laughed at him, and they laughed at the Mavericks for taking him. And you know, it took him a while. And the Joker took less time, and you know, he's one of the best players in the world.
Hey, Paul, you mentioned something earlier about training camps and how maybe the lack of training camp today could be contributing to some of the injuries we see. So when you guys you went for 3 weeks. Did you have times you had to make? I guess it's probably different. I'm sure it's different for every coach. But what are some of the basic concepts that you guys did that you don't think these guys are doing?
Well, we went 2-a-days for usually about 2 weeks. Then we started playing exhibition games and backing off to one practice a day in exhibition games. You are not legally allowed to practice twice a day now. They can't. They can have a regular practice. That means contact drills, scrimmaging, and then the next practice is shooting non-contact stuff. So that's not a real practice. It's skill work and going through schemes and defensive rotations and pick and roll coverages and all that stuff. But when I played, we had 2 weeks of 2-a-days. We practiced full 2 hours every practice with film sessions in between twice a day, live scrimmage, live contact drills in half court. You know, that's what we went through. Now you had crazier guys like, you know, Pat Riley, who he went 3 weeks into preseason games, still practicing. He would have a full 2-hour practice and then play a preseason exhibition game that night. And players hated it, but they were in shape. They really hated it. But it was tough to get through the 2 first weeks of training camp, physically draining. And and they don't do that anymore. They don't even have a week of that. They don't, because you can't even practice twice a day. You can have regular practice and a non-contact practice. So you know how that is in football. If you're not hitting, you're going to lose your edge. And I think that's now. I don't even think they have. I think they were playing games, exhibition games, like after 4 or 5 days, and that's. Your body has to get used to it. And I think that is saying something about everybody being hurt now.
Yeah.
Part of it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And you can't don't tell me, and don't comment on here, well, they're way more athletic now. You think, are they more athletic than Michael Jordan? Dominique Wilkins? I don't think so. Come on, man.
No, not one bit. Not one bit. We're heading down the home stretch here, but we only got a couple of more minutes left. Any other issues on your mind as we head towards the finish line?
Well, I just think it's really disturbing that we're a sports talk show. We have to talk about, a player pushing a referee, a player pretty much saying, you know what, my coach doesn't work that hard. He doesn't put that many out. Oh, are you kidding me? That kind of stuff. Don't you understand that everything you say is recorded and is going to get blasted out there? Maybe some people do. I know there's some ex-players out there, not going to name names, that say controversial stuff all the time, so they're still in the limelight. I could say some stuff right now, that would be crazy, and I could probably be on, ESPN or somewhere, tomorrow, but that's not the right thing to do. And, I think players and coaches, and guess what? Fans, you can't freaking rip a glove off a right fielder while he's trying to catch a foul ball and then grab his arm and try to pull him in the stands. You can't do that. This isn't Malice in the Palace. Come on, man.
Yeah, that was fun. I mean, that was assault and battery.
Just think, Ricky, you're walking down the street. You got a glove on, and you're walking down the street, and 2 guys coming this way. One guy grabs your glove and tries to take it, and the other guy grabs your arm. That's what happened. Come on, man. But I just that crazy stuff like that happens, but seems like it's happening more and more now. And I pay. Well, what did the guy say? We own this wall. They know we own this wall. This isn't a gentleman and whatever that thing is. This isn't Jack Nicholson. You need me on the wall. You want me on that wall. That's not what it is. It's a baseball game.
Oh man, I just heard the passing of John Robinson, the great football coach at USC, and the LA Rams passed, 89 years old. Condolences to the Robinson family. He has some great teams out there at USC.
He's a legend. I coached at USC in 2000, and our offices were across the hall from the football offices, and then they had an area, the Heisman Trophy area, and then they had like pictures of former coaches, and he was up there, and his records and his his legacy was not forgotten and won't be forgotten. Just a great coach in person.
Condolences to the Robinson family. He was a great coach for sure. Mo, we forgot John Morant is down. He has a hip injury.
Yeah, I think he took a bad fall or something, and fell awkwardly, or I mean, he's one of those high flyers, man. That,
I mean, he's one of those high flyers, man. That, you know, the thing about you got to land too, right?
Yep. You got to land, and you got, like I've told you before too, like Anthony Davis and some of these guys, when they fall, it looks like Dwayne Wade was that way. He fell hard. You got to learn how to fall the right way and roll with it, and you got to learn how to fall, because you're right. You could jump as high as you want, but you got to come down, and they've changed the rules in basketball now that. And when you go up for a jump shot, if someone puts their foot underneath when you land, that's a flagrant foul. So they've addressed that. But you got to learn how to fall, man.
Steve Shaw, Aaron Rodgers said hello to me and you, Mo.
Oh yeah.
Boy, that thing has not gone well for him in New York. Hey,
No.
couple of minutes left. I think we got all our NBA stuff in. Your thoughts on this weekend? My Lions won just a ridiculous game. They should have gotten blown out, but Mo used to talk about this. They were losing all these close games. Now they're winning games like they got over the hump.
Yeah, and losing is a habit and winning is a habit, and it's an attitude too. You talk about the identity of a team, right? The identity of a team is we're going to play hard, we're going to kick your butt, and we're going to find a way to win no matter what. It's okay to win ugly. It's not a beauty contest. You could do everything wrong and do the right things and grit it out. And, it's a classic example of the Chiefs game with Denver yesterday, right? So Denver had a field goal to win it, a short field goal. And if you look at the left guy on the line there, he didn't have the right stance. He was standing up, and the guy just pushed him over and went and blocked that's discipline, and that's doing the little things to the end, because you never know what might happen. And it's funny that, when you're good, you kind of make your own luck, right? And that seems to happen. So, teams that are used to losing are like, here we are again. The team made a run, and they're getting ready. And just like happened last week, it's going to happen again. And the teams that win all the time are like, okay, this is the point where we got to really tighten up. And we did this last week, and we won the game like we always do, and we're going to do it again. It's a different
And Mo,
attitude.
that applies across sports.
Oh, absolutely. No question. I mean, you could tell, like, when I was coaching the G League or wherever, anywhere, NBA, college, in a timeout, when you're looking at the players and they're sitting down looking at you, you can tell who wants to play, who doesn't want to play, who thinks they're going to lose or not, who's not looking you in the eye when you're talking. I used to, when players would kind of fade away a little bit, I would start talking a little softer and just kind of talk like this, because then they would lean in and kind of look at me like, what's coach saying? Because you can tell, when they're not, and that's a mentality, and it's, it's not specifically measurable, but you can feel it. You can feel it absolutely in all sports.
And Mo, we got to get out of here. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We'll be back next Monday. Be sure to subscribe to us. Go to Sports Fluent at YouTube. You see it scrolling across the bottom of the page there. Sports Fluent at YouTube. And so you can check out all our shows. Mo, always a pleasure, brother. Good catching up.
Love you, brother. Yep.
And we'll be back next Monday.
Before we go, thank you to all the veterans out there for making all the sacrifices and all the sacrifices. Thank you, all the veterans out there.
Absolutely. My father was a veteran, served 4 years, and today would be his heavenly birthday. So thank you, everybody.
That's good. Both my parents were in the forces too, and they're up there looking at us, Ricky. They're proud of it.
All right, brother. Take care. See you next week.
Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
Canada.
Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.